Supreme Court stays decisions on Parliament sittings of November 13th and 17th. National Party leader calls for calm. And teachers warned not to abuse students.
This is National EMTV News with Dennis Horere.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for National EMTV News. Petroleum Minister and leader of the National Party, Kerenga Kua, said the legal battle on the recall of Parliament on November 17th is before the court and that members of the opposition should allow the court to complete its process. Kua also reminded them of their duty of care to the people and that they should not create anxiety and stress amongst the public.
Kua is concerned that events of tomorrow, if any be, would turn out disastrous and so warned colleague members of Parliament in opposition not to proceed with their plan to have Parliament sit tomorrow. He is expecting a confrontation and says this will lead into reaction by the public that can turn out nasty.
Me like asking all these leaders who started working this public statement. Lord, today, before close of business today, almost working public statement, law withdrawing this blood red blow. Almost withdrawing this blood red blow. Now almost bringing Belize come people blow Papua New Guinea. Now this reaction, its nature and scope, you may not clear. They might be triggering something which we might not be able to control, and that's dangerous. It's not the kind of environment to promote at the leadership level. Even just a mere threat of it must discourage them from moving down this pathway.
With the legality of the November sitting now before the court, he says the repercussions of their actions will be twofold.
Suppose all these leaders who started threatening or convening this Parliament law tomorrow, Tuesday, 1st of December, only go ahead while meantime still sub judice or unblock court. And all commit him not only contempt of court, but potentially or by misconduct him only at an leadership code. Now, this can be down that track, and we can threaten him leadership role blow, capacity blow.
He also made a call for individual members of Parliament to make a stand on what they think is right and not to follow the crowd.
You want one, me blah pillow you stand up and make a leadership call. You know, can depend upon the group's thinking.
Kua is calling on opposition not to force their agenda and bring about a crisis. He says each MP had a duty of care to their people and must consider the psychological impacts from the action they will take tomorrow. Party member Easy Henry Leonard also joined the call for opposition to disregard plans to have Parliament meet tomorrow.
Whose interests are they representing? Either the voters, the country, or who else?
The National Party believes that there is no reason for them to leave the Marape government and announced their continued support to James Marape. Ruth Rungula, National EMTV News.
Our story on the court ruling late this afternoon after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. The Commissioner of Policy at Teachers Services Commission, Joel Tave, recently announced that the Commission has received numerous reports of abusive teachers in schools nationwide. Tave, who attended Anga Teachers College 8th graduation last Friday, has warned teachers that they would receive harsh treatment if they continue to abuse students in classrooms.
TSC Commissioner Policy Joel Nava urged teachers to maintain professionalism at all times and be good role models. He said the Commission has received reports nationwide, especially sexual abuse on students by both male and female teachers. Nava issued a stern warning that teachers will be put off payroll or face the consequences of their own actions.
A lot of sexual abuse by few members of the teaching service in the country. We don't want to see that happening. We've got to be a good role model, not only for the children that we have, but also for the community.
Nava said this during the Enga Teachers College 8th graduation. Police Minister Brian Kramer, who was the guest of honor, also urged teachers to respect their jobs as a noble profession and as leaders who impart their knowledge to others. Minister Kramer appealed to students, teachers and stakeholders to report cases of child abuse or any form of abuse to the nearest police station.
So as teachers, you by God, now you by start lo shape him or pigini. No pigini blow you, but pigini long narabla. And that's a noble profession, opportunity you sim. And work blow you now, to look out him just like pigini, give him sawe, give him passing long him too, because then by stop whole day one time you.
Meanwhile, Enga Teachers College graduated 84 primary school teachers last Friday. It brings the total number of primary teaching graduates to 1,112, filling the 400 primary school teacher vacancies in the province. Enga Teachers College, with the support of the Enga provincial government, has embarked on offering degree programs for primary teaching to improve the quality of education.
There is a teacher there. A teacher is present. The students are not without a teacher. There is more primary school teachers in Enga province than the teaching positions right now.
Joel Nava said the Teaching Services Commission will do its part to make sure that teachers' welfare and issues are fully addressed. Church agencies are also urged to meet their teacher demands.
We will do everything we can to improve the welfare of teachers in this province and also in the country.
Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
The Lae District Court held a special sitting over the weekend for more than 60 people who were arrested and charged for loitering last week. The verdicts by the magistrates were court fines of 300 kina and 500 kina and repatriation to their home provinces. The mass arrest of these people comes after a mini-operation by Lae police to clear the main bus stop areas in Lae following complaints of an increase in petty crimes by Lae public.
The 66 cases were heard by 2 magistrates at the Lae District Court on Saturday. The defendants were arrested and charged for loitering in Lae's main bus stop areas. While some of them pleaded not guilty, others who pleaded guilty requested mercy from the court, saying that they did not know that loitering was an offence. Magistrate Tara Dawai told the defendants that while the Constitution allows for freedom of movement, their movements must not interfere with the rights of others, which is why they were arrested by police. Because this was the first time they were arrested for loitering, the magistrate decided on a court fine of 500 kina and ordered their repatriation to serve their 6-month sentences in prisons in their provinces. In the other courtroom, the defendants were given a court fine of 300 kina as well as an order for repatriation. The court ordered that the repatriation would be taken care of by the Morobe provincial government, police and business community in Lae. This mass arrest on loiterers last week is the result of many operations by Lae police to clear out the main bus stops following a petition by the Lae public over the increase of petty crime in these areas. Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Lae.
Last night on A Closer Look, we featured former inmate Mason Mai, who is working to help other former prisoners reintegrate into their communities. With many unable to get jobs or any form of assistance, they've developed an informal support network. While it is still far off from becoming an organized group, they're working to get government attention on the needs of former inmates. We also spoke to 2 others, one with drama skills and another who is writing a master's thesis on the effectiveness of prisoner rehabilitation.
In Tent City, Lengtri Kintau sits under the shade of a tent working on a funding proposal for a non-government organization.
Mr. Natinga Melkomsla.
He does this kind of work free of charge, at least for now. Lengtri is one of many former inmates who are having difficulty reintegrating into society, and he says they need a lot of help.
Time training man Dislana and finish Karabus and equip them come out. I got opportunity in finding work. Once I'm finding work by looking by offend.
As a former inmate, he's been unable to get a police clearance certificate, which allows him to apply for jobs. Police have told him they can't give him one because he might reoffend.
Plenty time, Commissioner, even says Minister Tami Karabusta will become maybe an appeal law too. Plenty appeal me okay side, especially long prisoners program. I mean, no effective was no changes in the come up.
We first met Lengtree in 2013. He was given permission to complete his bachelor's degree in communications at the University of Technology. He was serving 9 years for armed robbery. In 2015, he graduated in absentia. The prison administration didn't allow him to attend graduation.
I'm got problem. I'm like looking me so time you go na mi story but ka start meeting the future problem na meeting look like go back to school but you know this la hope.
Lengtree has taken all of his experiences and is putting them into a new endeavor. Next year, he will begin writing a master's degree thesis on the effectiveness of prison rehabilitation in Papua New Guinea.
You must prepare him prison a good long life after prison. You must keep him all good.
For many former prisoners, they return to a community that has changed in many respects. They're finding the transition very difficult.
Most of them will come outside, like Wampla, for example, and Sam Somi. Picking blow him up, make him grade 12, lo this year. Darapla him up, make him grade 9. Picking him Mary, I'm grade 9, like picking him man, I'm grade 12. But because of school fee problem, Papa, I'm stuck inside na. So now I'm come outside, lo parole na. I'm trying lo walk him school fee out, lo all fees.
Custom room play important.
At the Bumbu Settlement's warrior compound, we find Sem Somi. 3 weeks out of prison, and he's thinking of reviving a drama troupe he left when he was sentenced 8 years ago. Like Lengtree, Sem Somi has had to pick up where he left off.
At industry, yeah. So, man is one institution where you can train him also, or come outside now, living nubler life as an artist.
Scott Waide, National MTV News, Ley.
And now to our top story. The Supreme Court has stayed the decisions of both Parliament sittings on November 13th and November 17th until the substantive matter is heard. A 5-man Supreme Court bench made the ruling late this afternoon after a whole day of legal debate on the legality of the November 17th sitting that led to the passing of the 2021 national budget. Tekla Gunga reports.
This matter began at 9:30 this morning with 6 interested parties to become interveners in these proceedings. However, after a short adjournment, the 5-man Supreme Court bench dismissed applications by all 5 interested parties. The application by opposition leader Beldad Nama was later withdrawn by his lawyer. The final adjournment was for 10 minutes for the Supreme Court to return with a decision on whether or not Parliament will reconvene tomorrow. Chief Justice Gibbs Salika raised his voice during submissions on the legality of Parliament sitting on November 17th, reminding lawyers representing the 3 different parties on the urgency of this matter. In this matter, Peter O'Neill is the only applicant that is seeking legal interpretation on the decision by Parliament Speaker Job Pomat to recall Parliament on 17th of November at 10 a.m. Parliament Speaker Job Pomat, through his lawyer, Charles Mende, informed courts that while he will be available for Parliament to resume tomorrow, Pomat has asked the courts to stay Parliament sitting on November 13th and November 17th. Nema Yalo, lawyer representing the Attorney General Pillai Niningi, in his submissions to the Supreme Court, maintains that he is not ready with his submissions today and adds that the court should not be rushed to make a ruling today.
Now the substantive issues are pending. That'll be determined, that'll be argued on Wednesday this week. But in the interim, what transpired this afternoon was whether the court could issue certain interim orders. A lawyer from Mr. O'Neill wanted an order from the court that Parliament sit tomorrow. And the Attorney General and Speaker, the Speaker had an application to stay that decision of Parliament on the 13th of November 2020 to adjourn to tomorrow. So there was no agreement on the part of the parties to assist the court. Court was a bit reluctant to issue that order. He didn't want to step into the realm of the legislature. However, the parties did give consent for the court to decide, and the court decided to walk the middle ground. It's an independent authority, so to be fair, that nobody is prejudiced. Court issued orders today for the decision of Parliament on the 13th of November to sit tomorrow. That is stayed, pending the final determination of the substantive application.
However, after continuous debates back and forth, the 5-man Supreme Court bench sought consent from the 3 lawyers to step in and make a decision on whether or not Parliament should be recalled tomorrow.
I think it's a fair decision by the court, and the court has adjourned to the 3rd for the hearing, so our lawyers will be at work. So I'm happy with that decision.
The matter returns to court for the substantive hearing this Thursday, which is the 3rd of December. Lawyers representing the 3 parties in these proceedings have been advised to file their submissions, including affidavits, which must not be more than 4 pages long. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
And now looking at the Nest Fund market report, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.2850 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina is buying $0.2775 $0.3713 Australian dollars, $0.2237 euro, and 28.20 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading lower, coffee, cocoa, and copra closed higher. Crude oil is trading lower, palm oil closed lower, and copper closed higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 37.9 points higher. The ASX 200 is trading at 83.25 points lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading at 74.68 points lower. We'll go for a short break, but when we return, stories making headlines overseas. Don't go away. Welcome back. Family of a 7-year-old girl is currently awaiting her medical report after a crane accidentally fell into their residence and injured the girl. The area is a residential area that is currently being developed for commercial purposes. According to the property manager, authorities including Morobes Physical Planning Board, Provincial Building Board and the Lae City Authority to approve construction plan.
Last week, this crane fell into this company apartment that accommodates 3 families including 9 children. The crane belongs to Premium Construction, a national-owned company building here at Sito Street. A 7-year-old girl was injured after the crane fell.
After this incident, mipla all Mary bin come na mipla go down lab. Tok na all kirap na toki mipla pasimaus na igo papa blogaden em sawe pini semba streti mipla. Em tokosem all workman lab set all pairap na toki mipla osem. But this land em commercial area or em residential area?
The redevelopment is being done by Ink and Toner Company. According to the property manager, they were given approvals from Morobes Physical Planning Board, Building Board and the Lae City Authority.
This time we established some residential area, but then we blocked some approval Building Board, we blocked some approval Physical Planning Board. Now also go right long give them green light, we block building so we like building one kind of some office lawyer. So
Morobes Physical Planning Board Chairman Kisu Lucas confirmed that an approval was given to develop the place as part of the Lae Nadzap redevelopment plan. Lucas said the accident was due to negligence.
They initially had a building there next door, and they requested for another one. which is within the residential area, which we approve. The construction, the onus is on them to make sure that whatever they do, they should take due care in whatever they do. If you're constructing there, you must make sure the safety is maintained at all costs. So yes, it's a residential area, but because of the development coming up from the wharf, it warrants a change in zoning, so we will convert it into a commercial zone. But we're working on a plan to formalize that one.
The chairman of the Fiscal Planning Board also blamed the Provincial Building Board for not doing inspections. Julie Badui, Owa, National EMTV News, Ley.
1 million Americans heading home after Thanksgiving have passed through the country's airports on the busiest travel day since the pandemic began. And there are fears that will only fuel the current surge in COVID cases. But the virus wasn't a hot topic for President Trump today.
Donald Trump returning to the White House today after a family weekend at Camp David. But while there, he didn't take a break from claims of election rigging, even blaming one of his own government departments.
This is total fraud, and how the FBI and Department of Justice, I don't know, maybe they're involved.
He's lost 39 lawsuits so far, and today a recount in Wisconsin that cost him $4 million only added to Joe Biden's tally. The only thing not going well for the president-elect, a sprained ankle forcing a late-night trip to the doctor. In President Trump's preoccupation with fighting a pointless war, he's also losing a much bigger battle against coronavirus. The country facing grave predictions for the Christmas season.
We may see a surge upon a surge. We don't want to frighten people, but that's just the reality.
Because millions of Americans did as their president did, traveling to Thanksgiving gatherings. Now they're being told to self-isolate.
Don't go into work, pull your kids out of school for that period of time, because you really do not want to be spreading coronavirus inadvertently to people around you.
Officials worry about how the public will cope, not only with the virus, but with seemingly endless lockdowns.
In New York City, a massive U-turn from the mayor, less than 2 weeks since all schools were closed. Despite nearly 9,000 new cases in the last week alone, preschool and primary school children are heading back to class.
It's unlikely to make the city's record high case numbers any worse.
The bars, the restaurants where you have capacity seating indoors without masks. Those are the things that drive the community spread, not the schools.
But in a move sure to lift American spirits, airlines have begun flying the first batches of vaccine across the country in anticipation of its approval.
Trukai Sports is next. Fidelis Sukina has the details.
Thank you, Dennis. We'll have news on rugby union and AFL. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Good night and welcome to Trukai Sports. Tournament favourites Papuan Compound Ravens of Ley City retained their Sports Talk Sevens title. Ravens managed a win over the Brothers Club of Port Moresby, 15 points to 5 yesterday.
The 2020 edition of Sports Talk Sevens concluded yesterday with the Papuan Compound Ravens of Ley defending their title as they defeated Brothers 15-5 in the Cup final. The final was a cagey affair which saw the Ravens taking the lead at halftime 10-5. Despite pressure from Brothers, Ravens kept their composure to win the match along with 10,000 kina in prize money and a new set of jerseys from Tati Sports. In a year which has seen suspension and cancellation of several sporting events and competitions, Sports Talk Sevens provided the opportunity for teams from around the country to participate in a competitive tournament.
I think we should have a lot more of this sevens competition. As you know, we have this international sevens circuit. We should give opportunities to talent outside, and I think we are providing that. And especially for this year, going towards next year, when we have the when the sporting calendar go back to normal,
the national side, the sevens team, the sevens Puk team, should use this opportunity to. I mean, the coach and the officials should use this opportunity now, and that's why we're doing this, to provide opportunity.
Congratulations for Ravens.
Axel Lovai, Trukai Sports.
And rugby union is a striving sport in some provinces outside of Port Moresby. The Northern Chiefs from Lihir Island had their first tough experience of rugby union sevens outside of their region and were happy with their experience during the Sports Talk Rugby Union Sevens tournament. It's always good to see teams from other provinces traveling into Port Moresby, especially from provinces where rugby union is thriving as a sport. The Northern Chiefs, representing Lihir Island, in their bright purple uniform, took part in the Sports Talk Sevens, coming a long way from home, with the tournament serving as a big test for the island team.
Rugby union plays full swing of some pom comp, just a legal comp. But me play travel go mainland caving. That's why me usually play low up na. All mangi gaining experience na. In a team and first time to come into Sports Talk sevens na kind big play tournament of some country.
Jonathan Totsik Baul, a former junior Puk, now coaches the team and says it's a legacy team and they all come from one village, Tuan on Lihir Island.
All mangi now team mi come and team lo mir lo play actually team lo father na am pass away, so me continue on them legacy. All mangi all get all mangi blouse solo. It's a family team, so you know got na problem me play family me play kam.
Mi play kam no one ma play
Me play kam no Tuan place.
At the least, you can say these are raw talent all the way from the village. And Baul says there is no shortage of young talented men who enjoy playing sevens rugby union on the island.
Rugby union island, and me looking plenty talent on mangi stuff. We all got skills and ability to play.
The team was here for one reason, for the experience, and it paid off, with the young men having the opportunity to take on teams from East New Britain and Port Moresby as some of their toughest opponents.
Milling Sports Talk is very helpful and good to help him all mangi develop him skills not only here but also outside other centers Moresby.
And Trukai Sports continues after the break with AFL in Port Moresby and Lae. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
And welcome back to Trukai Sports. Port Moresby AFL season ended on Saturday with officials, players and clubs completing a challenging and successful season. The shortened season ended with West Eagles crowned champions of the Port Moresby AFL competition after defeating Kokofa Cats 44-33.
Port Moresby AFL were able to adapt to the challenging circumstances posed by COVID-19 this year, as officials and clubs combined efforts to stage a shortened but competitive season. Port Moresby AFL cooperated with authorities to ensure that the players and fans of the sport in the nation's capital were able to do so in compliance with safety measures.
It's actually really affected us, where we had to merge a couple of clubs this season. We usually have an 8-team competition from 2019 and beyond, but due to the COVID-19 issue, we've merged a couple of teams, and we came up with 4 teams only for this season. That's the West Eagles, who finished on top, and Kokofa Cats, which is a mixture of Gorens Kokofa and the Sun City Cats, and we had Dockers who were on their own as well, and Koboni and Gerehu Magpies together with Central Bombers, who formed the other 4th team.
In response to the challenging circumstances, POM AFL revamped its competition to ensure that the 2020 season would be able to commence.
We had to wait some months before we could get the approval from the COVID-19, the committees, as well as the controller, get the approval to, get back to sports again. So It was a very difficult period. We had to wait, and a lot of our followers were asking so many questions, but we couldn't answer them because it was beyond our control. Yeah.
With the year drawing to a close, Port Moresby AFL remains positive as the officials, clubs and players look forward to the new year.
We'll keep our competition going next season, and we're in close consultation with our commission, the PNG AFL Commission, and we'd like to start off early next year. And we have a couple of new teams coming in to join the senior competition, so that will boost our competition numbers, and we should have a good season next year and get ready for any international events that come our way.
West Eagles defended their title as they were crowned champions of Port Moresby AFL competition after defeating Kokofa Cats 44-33. After a slow start in the early quarters, West Eagles were able to overcome a determined Kokofa outfit. Huxley Lovai, Trukai Sports.
Meanwhile, over in Ley, the AFL Juniors competition ended its last lap over the weekend. Due to COVID-19 this year, the competition resumed in August with the 9-man-a-side rule to allow the competition to proceed.
The organizing committee of Ley's AFL Junior competition suspended games from March until August due to COVID-19. 4 out of 7 teams made it to the finals to battle it out for first, second, third and fourth places. These teams used special COVID-19 rules which allowed only 9 aside. Players can only stay in contact for 10 seconds before the ball is handed over to the opposition team.
These days, young children just run off with their friends and doing things that their parents probably don't know. So we're happy to keep them on the Erico Oval every Saturday mornings, and maybe during the weeks would be good.
Mrs. Hila said the interest has dropped in the last 3 years. Children came as far as Pumayong and Nadzab with teams to play on weekends. Mrs. Ila encouraged schools to register teams who are interested for next year's competition.
Problems of school fights, and we have taken kids out for sports, me and my husband, Mr. Giru, and I have seen a lot of improvement in the lives of the boys.
It's about time. Provincial government must look this like must come in funding. Even all
sports have always been a getaway for many people, not just in Moresby province, but around the country. With COVID-19 restrictions, sports committees will need to look into ways to help competitions run next year onward. This will need the support of provincial governments. Philia Pisep, Trukai Sports, Ley.
Turning overseas, Formula One driver Romain Grosjean has miraculously survived one of the most dramatic crashes the sport has seen in many years.
Life in the fast lane carries plenty of risk, but this is as bad as it gets.
That was horrendous.
On the very first lap of the Bahrain Grand Prix, Romain Grosjean's Haas ploughing head-on into the steel barriers at around 220 kilometres an hour.
Torn the car in half. I have not seen a car like that in my time commentating on Formula One.
To understand the full scale of the incident, you have to watch it in real time. Part one of the miracle is that Grosjean survived that impact at all, estimated to have been more than 50 Gs of force. As the medical safety car showed up barely 10 seconds later, he'd somehow freed himself from his seatbelt and the wreckage of his car, all the while engulfed in flames. But it would take almost half a minute until Grosjean jumps clear of the inferno and into the arms of the first responders on the scene.
In 12 years, I've not seen that much fire at an impact like that, so we just took a little while to process what's going on. I'm sure it was only a second or so, but it felt like ages.
Drivers and support staff hardly believing what they saw on the replays. Just look at what was left of Grosjean's car, a burnt-out pile of scrap.
When I saw it on the TV, I mean, it's a shock when it's really close to home for us drivers, you know, because we're out there putting the thing on the edge, and you never know when something can go like that could happen.
Remarkably, Grosjean suffered only minor burns and possibly a broken rib. The car's halo safety device credited with saving his life.
Just wanted to say I am okay. Well,
sort of okay.
But for all the safety plaudits, the incident also raising some valid concerns.
The guardrail shouldn't fail and the car shouldn't catch fire in that fashion. There's a lot of precautions that it doesn't catch fire.
And the fire was worrying, the split of the barrier was worrying. I think the positives are the safety of the car.
In true F1 fashion, the racing would resume an hour later. But more importantly, Roman Grosjean has lived to race another day.
And that story ends Trukai Sports. Dennis will be back with the weather report for the next 24 hours. Bye for now.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
Weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. Regional forecast, and to the southern region, Port Moresby fine, partly cloudy with inland thundery showers. Daru mostly fine and partly cloudy. Kerama partly cloudy with a few evening showers or two. Alotau fine, partly cloudy with an evening shower or two. Popondetta partly cloudy with a few showers. To the Momase region, Ley mostly fine and partly cloudy with evening rain drizzles. Medang partly cloudy with evening showers. Wewak cloudy with evening few showers. Vanimo mostly cloudy with evening rain drizzles. To the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau fine and partly cloudy. Kimbe mostly fine and partly cloudy. Kavieng fine, partly cloudy with evening shower or two. Kokopo and Rabaul partly cloudy with chances of evening thundery showers. Buka few showers and thunder. To the Highlands region, Mount Hagen partly cloudy with evening rain showers. Goroka and Kundiawa partly cloudy with evening drizzles. Mendi and Wabeg cloudy with evening rain drizzles.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
The way it is this Monday, the 30th of November 2020, from the news team, pleasant viewing, good night.